Hello students, this is Mrs. Miller, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to write an argumentative essay. Before we do that, I would like to read an argument for Kaepernick and one against Kaepernick. Then we'll take a look at what we need in our own argumentative essay, we'll plan out our writing, and finally we'll get to the actual writing of the essay. So first, let's take a look at the two different sides. Argument for Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick is angry about the way in which people of color have been treated by police. Kaepernick not standing for the national anthem is his way of peacefully protesting a social injustice. He is using his influence to help start discussions about police brutality. Like so many other civil rights leaders from the past, Kaepernick is using nonviolent means to try and bring about change. He has even pledged to donate the first $1 million he earns this season to charities that aid communities in need. Kaepernick is a good man who is doing a brave thing to bring about change. So that's one side of the argument. Let's take a look at the other side, argument against Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick is shallow and ungrateful. He should honor those who fought for our country and should respect the American flag. He doesn't even have a right to be angry because he makes tens of millions of dollars and certainly isn't oppressed. Is he even a real man? The things happening with the police have nothing to do with those who fought for our country. He should stand in honor of our soldiers. His dishonor and disrespect is disgusting. Okay, and looking at both of these, I can see here that these are not written in an objective manner. Both of these contain the opinions of the writer. And what we're going to do is make sure that with whichever side we are going to argue for, we make sure that we back it up with plenty of evidence, text-based evidence. That's what we're going to be looking for in our own essay. So let's take a look now at what we need to include in our writing. With our argumentative essay, it says now you pick a side. Write an argument essay either for Kaepernick or against Kaepernick. Be sure to include the following in your essay. You must have a claim and the reason for the claim. You must have evidence and explanation. Again, that's text-based evidence. You must address the counterclaim and come up with a counter argument, and the counter argument must be rooted in the text. And finally, you have a conclusion. Now, I'm throwing a lot of words at you, and I'm not sure if you know what all of them mean. So let's take a look at what each of these are. In this PowerPoint presentation, or it's a PDF file, I'm sorry, it was created by a different teacher. I'll make sure that I put the link to her Teachers Pay Teachers store on our slides. But this is something that she came up with to help students know how to build a strong argument. So we have claims, reasons, evidence, counterclaim, counterargument, and then the conclusion, the so what. You're going to be able to use this as a reference as you're planning out your own writing and as you're writing your essay. So the claim is the statement the writer is trying to prove is true. So in our case, our claim is either going to be Kaepernick is doing the right thing and taking a knee during the playing of the national anthem, or Kaepernick is not doing the right thing and taking a knee during the playing of the national anthem. And right next to that, we have a reason. He is doing the right thing because, and we state why, or he is not doing the right thing because, and we say our reasoning why. Then we have our evidence. We're going to base our evidence on what we read in our CNN article. So CNN is a credible source. They are a believable source. So we're going to use them as our reference with this essay. We have our evidence, and then we explain what the evidence is saying. Okay, that's very important. What does the evidence prove? Then we have what I call, or what is called, the counterclaim. The counterclaim is what the opposite side is saying about the topic. This is the statement opposing the claim, opposing the argument. So what is the other side saying? It's important that when we write an argumentative essay, we address what the other side is saying, and then we have what's called the counter argument. That's the rebuttal. That's why what they're saying is not going to hold up. And finally, we have the conclusion. So that restates the claim and summarizes the argument. Now, if I scroll a little farther down, I see some fantastic transition words that I can use as I'm writing my essay. Again, you'll be able to use this as a reference, and we'll be flipping back and forth, or I'll make sure that I highlight these words in my own argument that I'm going to write. Okay, so plenty of resources here for you to use as you're writing. Let's return to our graphic organizer. And I'm going to take a moment and fill in the graphic organizer. So this is where we're going to type in our claim, and then we're going to come up with 3 separate pieces of evidence based on what we read in the CNN article. Then we're going to address the counterclaim. What's the other side saying? And we're going to say, well, basically, why we don't agree with you. What's the counter argument? What is some text-based evidence to go against what you're saying? And then we have our conclusion. So I pushed pause and filled in my graphic organizer, and now I'm going to go through each piece of the graphic organizer with you. As I wrote, I had to think about, based on the article that we read, which side would have the most support, and that's the side that I chose to write about. I am going to keep my personal opinions and feelings out of it. I'm not going to attack the other side. I'm simply going to have a claim based on the text, have evidence based on the text, address the counterclaim, and have my conclusion. So here we go. So my claim and reason that I decided to write about based on the evidence is Kaepernick is doing the right thing and taking a knee during the playing of the national anthem because. So here is the transition word that lets you know that I'm about to move into my reason. It's important for us to have a reason that backs up our claim. He is bringing awareness about the issue of police brutality and racism, and people are starting to have conversations about this difficult topic. Now, I need to make sure that I have evidence from the text to back up what I'm saying. I want my writing to be nice and focused. So my first piece of evidence is, well, Kaepernick is a quarterback in the NFL. Here's the transition word that shows I'm about to give my explanation. So, what's that have to do with anything? Well, his actions are bringing national attention to this issue. Since he's somebody who is in the NFL and a lot of people see what he's doing, he's bringing national attention to the issue. My next piece of evidence is his influence is carrying to others who are also refusing to stand in order to bring attention to this issue. Here's the explanation. Dialogue is the first step in bringing about change, and that is what is happening. We know from the text that other players are refusing to stand during the playing of the national anthem because of Kaepernick's influence. My next piece of evidence is he has the freedom to take a knee. So what's that have to do with my claim? Well, here's my explanation. By exercising his right, he's hoping to bring about change. And by exercising his right, he's bringing attention to this issue. So everything goes back to my claim. Now, it's very important when writing an argumentative essay to address the counterclaim. What is the other side of the argument saying? What is the main argument of other people who don't agree with what he's doing? Well, the counterclaim here is he is disrespecting those in the military and the American flag. Now, I want my counter argument to be rooted in the text. I'm using some text evidence. It says those in the military fought so that we as Americans would have the freedom to choose what we will do instead of us being under a government where we are forced to do things. So that is the counter argument that's based in the text. It's not putting in my personal feelings or opinions. This is just using the text evidence. And here is my conclusion. My conclusion is going to tie everything together. Police brutality and racism have been going on for a long time, and something needs to be done about it. There are really good police officers who serve and protect their communities, but there are some who abuse their power. It takes someone in a position of influence doing something in a major way to bring attention to these issues so that change can happen and everyone can be treated fairly. So, I'm making my final argument in my conclusion. But remember, when I'm having my evidence, the evidence is what is rooted in the text. So now I'm going to read my essay to you. I'm going to use my graphic organizer to form my essay, and then I'm going to read my completed essay to you. To take a knee or to stand. This is the great debate going on because of the movement started by Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick, a professional football player, has chosen to take a knee during the playing of the national anthem in order to bring awareness of the issue of police brutality and racism that exist in the United States. Kaepernick is doing the right thing by protesting in this nonviolent manner, as it is forcing people to have difficult conversations about this painful topic. Hopefully, this will bring about change so that all people are treated fairly. Now, one thing I did to start the essay is I have some sort of hook. Then I gave an overview of what was happening. Now, right here is where I have my claim and the reason for my claim. Now, with my next paragraph, now this was my introduction. Now I'm getting into the body of my essay, and this is where I'm going to use the evidence to back up my claim. In order for change to take place, influential people must step out of their comfort zone, not be afraid of the consequences, and act on what they believe. As an NFL quarterback, Kaepernick has a lot of influence over others. He is in the national spotlight because of his athletic prowess, and he is using that spotlight to bring about change. His refusal to stand for the playing of the national anthem has stirred up dialogue amongst people from many walks of life. Due to his influence, others are also refusing to stand for the playing of the national anthem as a way of non-violently protesting the continued brutality and racism that exists. Dialogue is the first step in bringing about change, and that is what is happening. As an American, Kaepernick has a right to take a knee. By exercising his right, he is hoping to bring about change. So this was part of my body, and this is where I use the text-based evidence to back up my claim. Let's continue. Not everyone agrees with what Kaepernick is doing. So now I'm about to address the counter-argument. I apologize. I'm going to address the counterclaim and then have my counter-argument. That's what this paragraph is going to be. Not everyone agrees with what Kaepernick is doing. Critics argue that he is disrespecting the military and the American flag. However, according to former Green Beret Nate Boyer, taking a knee is a way to show respect to the military while still protesting. Those in the military fought so that we as Americans would have the freedom to make our own choices instead of living under a dictatorship where we are without our rights. Kaepernick's action of taking a knee during the playing of the national anthem is a way to honor those who fought for our country while still protesting against social injustice. And now I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap up my entire argument and my conclusion here. Police brutality and racism have been going on for a long time in this country, where all men are supposedly created equal, but not all men are treated as equals. There are countless news stories of police brutality and racist actions by those in authority, and yet there are those who would argue that no police brutality or racism even exists. How can there be a change when some say there is not even a problem? Kaepernick realized that in order for dialogue to take place, he needed to do something drastic to bring attention to these issues. Therefore, he chose to take a knee during the playing of the national anthem. This one small movement has sparked conversations in many communities. Despite his critics, his influential actions will factor into making the world a better place. I wanted to take just a moment to highlight once again that my claim is clearly stated right here in my first paragraph. Then in the second paragraph, I'm providing evidence to support my claim, and I use some transition words right here from this resource that helps me easily flow and transition from counterclaims to counterarguments, between claims and counterarguments. So please make sure that you're using these transition words to help you in your own writing as well. Here's the one right here that critics argue that lets me know that I'm about to address the counter argument. the counterclaim, and then this however is